I'm Nancy Zampella, and I'm here with my friend Cheryl Grace, who is a professional feng shui practitioner and the Hay House author of this fabulous book called Feng Shui Simply. And I'm so glad to be here. I'm going to ask a question right away. Can you tell me how to apply feng shui in the bathroom?
Oh yeah, bathrooms are important, and you've always heard people complaining, especially to the gentleman in your life, put the toilet seat down. And it's really about feng shui, if you can imagine. Because the theory is that feng shui prosperity goes down the drain. So any prosperity goes down the drain. So if you put the toilet seat down and you close your sink drains, and I go even as far as putting a coaster over my shower drain because I don't want anything to go down the drain for prosperity or wealth or love or friendships or any of that stuff. So the feng shui is really important in the bathroom because it's, a place full of escaping good feng shui.
That sounds like because of that, they might be the most challenging rooms.
It is the most challenging room to do because that's an automatic bad feng shui thing going on. So you have to be just meticulous about always doing that. And the joke is every time I go over my friend's house, you can imagine, I use their restroom and I'm closing all the drinks because I can't help myself, right? I figure if they don't know it's bad feng shui, let me do that for you. So I always get the joke that people always know when I've been to their house because all their sink drains are closed and the toilet seats are down. But it's also a difficult room to feng shui for good prosperity as well. So I use a lot of color in the bathrooms because usually, for the most part, the counters are what they are. You have the shower, you have a bathtub, you might have white floors or whatever that is. So adding depth of color really helps to balance out what's going on in the bathroom. So it is an important room.
You mentioned yin and yang before, and the bathroom seems like it's kind of naturally yang with all of those reflective surfaces.
Well, it has mirrors usually, and so that's very active energy. You have getting ready and taking a shower or a bath. So there's a lot of active energy going on there. So, a common way to balance that is actually to put more yin qualities into the bathroom in the decorating. So you could go with stronger colors. I think when rooms are small like bathrooms, the tendency is to keep it white or light. And white is actually not necessarily a good color for small bathrooms because they look dingy. And, even if you turn on the light, it makes the room look dingy. So adding good depth of color is going to balance out all of that yang activity. So you're right about that. That was a good catch.
Cheryl, one of the things I read in your book is that the placement of the bed in the master bedroom or the guest bedroom even is really important. Can you tell me what are the key points to know about that?
Yes, the bed is the most important in the feng shui of the master bedroom because there's a lot of feng shui that you do to get it ideal in feng shui, but the bed is the most important. So here, let me give you the feng shui don'ts. You do not want to place the bed on the same side as the door. So imagine walking into the door and to your right or to your left is the bed. The reason why this is bad feng shui is especially when you're a couple. One person walks in, they can go right to bed because that's their side. The other person has to walk all the way around the bed, which makes the relationship unequal. Second place you don't want to place the bed is directly in front of the door. So imagine you walk in the door and either the bed is crossing in front of the door, like almost perpendicular, or it is directly in the back wall, but in direct alignment with the door. That's also considered bad feng shui because energy is coming in the door and sweeping over the people laying in bed or sweeping all the way across the top of you. So any other wall that isn't one of those two things is okay in terms of the placement of the bed.
Okay, anything else I need to know about the placement of the bed in a room?
Yes, you do prefer to have a solid wall behind the bed frame because it's kind of like protecting your back. So it becomes challenging because there's a lot of rooms, because it is what it is when you're in a home, where there's windows or sliding glass doors. But if you are forced to put a bed frame, the back of the bed frame against the wall, and there's windows over it, then you use your best, heaviest choice of window treatment. Like shutters would be the best choice because it would be the heaviest thing to close at night as opposed to shears. But yes, trying to get your bed not on the same side of the door and not directly in front of the door and on a solid wall is kind of challenging when you're not building a home from scratch.
One of the things I know people would like to know is if you're single and you want to draw in some love interest, what would be some good feng shui enhancements to do in your home?
I would start first with the master bedroom because I think when you live by yourself, you have a tendency to buy one of everything and not two of everything. You might have one nightstand and one lamp instead of a nightstand on either side and two lamps. You might be attracted to artwork of single ladies because they represent yourself. Strong, independent, images that only have one object in them, which could be a single person. So you have to start thinking as a pair. And so when you buy a coffee cup, you buy two coffee cups. Or if you buy a lamp, you buy a set of lamps. And you start to build everything in your home in relationship to pairs because you're trying to invite that sort of energy in. And if you think like a single person, it will draw in more of the same. There is one feng shui tip that is in almost every feng shui book is that if you have too many pillows on the bed, which we have a tendency to do in decorating, we put layers and layers of pillows, it sends the signal that the bed's already taken. So less is better, again there, and then trying just to minimize and welcome in the energy of relationships in the bedroom. So if it's too girly or too guy, it sort of separates it from the energy of the person you're trying to attract. So really thinking about your decorating approach is important as well.
Cheryl, one of the things you talk about in the book is why it's so important to get a good night's sleep. So could you explain why that is and what you can do to assure one?
Well, in order to be able to do all you're going to do in a day, work, deal with family members, enjoy your hobbies, everything requires a lot of good energy. And so the nighttime is really where you restore your energy. So it's so important. It's the most important time of the day. And when you have a really good night's sleep, and you know how it is when you've had a great night's sleep, you're just raring to go, then you're really able to start off your day at full steam, 100% restored energy. And then everything that happens to you during the day is either going to help restore the energy, add to it, or deplete the energy. So it makes everything that you do and everybody you come in contact with so important of how it's either going to restore or deplete your energy during the day. So it's got to start off with a good night's sleep. And if you don't have that, you're already, minus starting out your day.
So what can I do to assure a good night's sleep?
Well, remember how you used to get a mattress? Our parents didn't have a mattress. My parents probably still have the same mattress. It's lasted 60 years or something. You really got to start out with a really good mattress, as easy as that sounds. And one that is specific to your comfort level of sleep, whether it's soft or firm or whatever. It's got to start out with a good mattress. Really soft sheets. I know that sounds crazy. If you get hot at night, you want to go for bamboo sheets because they're a little cooler. And pillows also don't last forever. They are made to last 1, 2, 3 years. If you kind of have the pillow where you have to kind of reform every night, one thing you can do is stick it in the dryer with about 4 tennis balls. Run that through the fluff cycle for about 20 minutes, and those tennis balls will reshape that pillow just like that. So really the bedding is very important in feng shui so that it has all the comfort necessary for you to have a good night's sleep. And then from there on, it's really applying also good feng shui throughout the rest of the bedroom, which is low lighting, and also getting into the bedroom a little bit sooner to start that transition from active day or active TV watching or active reading or whatever you're doing, and transitioning into it's time to go to bed and sleep. So trying to watch TV in the bedroom is not necessarily a way to get to sleep faster. So I discourage TVs in the bedroom, if you can imagine, as a Feng Shui practitioner.
I'm so glad you mentioned things like, using tennis balls with your pillow in the dryer, because I think some people think, oh no, if I'm going to Feng Shui, I'm going to have to throw out everything I own and buy all new stuff.
No, actually, I encourage what I call shopping at home. So sometimes it's really looking at each room as a blank canvas. I actually encourage people to take everything out of a room, clean it, and scrub the floors to give it that really fresh, good Feng Shui start, and then stage things back into it. You hear the word staging a lot, which has to do with sort of getting homes ready for sale. They call it staging.
Yes.
But I call all Feng Shui enhancements and applying Feng Shui in your house staging, because you're really staging it for prosperity. So you can borrow from other rooms, you can reinvent things, you can redesign things, you can room edit, you can do anything that sort of brings a fresh approach to every room. So shop at home first before you go out and purchase elsewhere.
I love that idea. Cheryl, one of the questions I have for you is, I live in Florida, and like a lot of the houses in Florida, I have an open floor plan. And I find this really challenging in how to define space and to set up rooms. What are some good Feng Shui tips you have about that?
Well, open floor plans are extremely difficult because you can't necessarily put end tables on the side of every chair. So one thing you want to always do is, in order to, like if you're going to set up your furniture in your living room, you always want it to be conversational. And conversational means you have a sofa, you might have two chairs, and it's going to make a shape of a U. So with an open floor plan, if you set the sofa in its position and you put the two chairs on either side of the sofa facing them, now you have your U. The best option for a table, a coffee table, would be nesting tables. Tables that sort of group together as sort of the centerpiece, and that way you don't have to have end tables on either side of the chairs. You can have end tables on either side of the sofa perhaps, and then use the nesting tables because they come apart and they can move and be placed by each of the chairs as needed. But yes, keeping an open floor plan is actually good Feng Shui, because you can imagine the energy is circling in and around the chairs and not in and around every single end table. So open floor plans are actually really good Feng Shui.
And why is it important to have a table near every chair?
Only for just simply the convenience of the guest that's in there. That's why I don't think you need to automatically place them by everything. That's our habit of doing that, thinking we're getting ready for a guest.
Drink down.
Yeah, to put their drink down. We're getting ready for guests to come over, but in reality, guests are not over every time of the day. So I think if you think about the function of the room first, who's in there all the time, what do they need, and you sort of stage it that way first, and then worry about the guests later. When they come, you can always make adjustments. You can turn chairs around to face a TV or a view of the outside door, but you don't have to live that way all the time.
What are your 3 best tips for kitchen Feng Shui?
Well, kitchen Feng Shui can look cluttered just by what's on the counter. Sometimes when we have appliances that we don't use on a daily basis, we still have them on the counter. I still giggle a little bit when I see bread makers on a counter, because the first question I always ask of, say, a client is, I say, do you actually bake bread every day? And they go, no, I don't. In fact, I never use it. Then why do you have it there? It's kind of a useless appliance unless it's something you do on a regular basis. So I would always say keep the counters pretty clear, except for the things you literally use every day, such as a coffee pot or something like that. So it feels more spacious and less cluttered if the counters are clean. The second thing I would say is take everything off your refrigerator door. The refrigerator door filled with all of the pictures and Post-it notes and things to do is just inherent of clutter. As soon as you take everything off the refrigerator door, the whole room looks less cluttered. It's always the first thing I tell people, and they can always, if they need to have a place for notes or reminders for family members, then get a little bulletin board and stick it somewhere and have it everybody be that go-to place, but not the refrigerator door. And the third feng shui tip I'd say about a kitchen is you actually don't leave knives out in full view, like a little knife rack. It might be convenient for cooking, but it's really bad feng shui. And if you've ever seen a horror movie, you know it's bad feng shui, right? Because what do?
They grab a knife.
They grab a knife. So it's considered bad feng shui. As soon as I heard that tip, I went, wow, that kind of makes sense. I took my knives out of my knife block and I put them in my drawer, and it clears out the counter, and it's good feng shui.
Do you have any tips for laundry room feng shui?
Oh gosh, laundry rooms can be just the most horrendous place, as you know, because you might come in from the garage and you just throw things down, or it's the first room you come in after a long day. It can certainly be dreary. I actually really go out of my way to decorate my laundry room. Laundry rooms are inherently dark. I think that most of the times they paint them white, and white can be very dingy. So I have a very luminous color in there, something I call an awake color. It's kind of almost a bright yellow or a neon yellow, not an ugly yellow, but a bright yellow, because it's cheerful when I walk in. I don't even have to turn on the light because the room kind of glows already. Mm-hmm. I also have what I call greeters, which is the wall that I'm actually walking into. I actually have great artwork on there, some of my own art projects as well, and pictures of friends and things like that, because it's kind of like a little greeter, welcome home, and it's fun to look at everything. And I also don't want to just have laundry piled up in there, because it's kind of a call to action. The minute you get home, you think, oh yeah, I got to do laundry. You know, it's sort of a Debbie Downer, if I'd call it that. So if I keep the laundry in the laundry baskets, and when it's time to do laundry, I go in and do the laundry, and then I clean up the laundry. I don't pile things in there. So I would say those ideas would probably give you the best feng shui, is don't skip the laundry room in terms of decorating.
And do you have your laundry detergent, is it out and visible, or is it in a cabinet, or?
Yeah, I don't have anything out, whether it's any kind of cleaning supply or laundry or anything like that, out visible, because again, it's another call to action. I'm lucky enough that I actually have a storage closet in the laundry room that I can put those things away. But if I didn't, I would get a basket or something to put them in. It's easy to add shelves above your washer dryer with baskets or things to hide them, because again, it's just an eyesore a lot of times to look. I even go to the length of, I have a cat, and therefore I have a cat box, and I don't want to walk into my laundry room and see the cat box. So I've got a decorative screen that is folded in such a way, a trifold, so that it covers the cat box. It gives the cat, of course, the ultimate privacy to do whatever they're doing. And I don't have to look at it when I come home, because, again, it's something that is not necessarily fun to see when you first get into your home.
Right. So this is probably similar to laundry rooms, but what about garages? I suppose they could be feng shuied as well, yes?
Oh, for sure, because the garage is probably, for most people who have a garage, is the first entry point to their home, right? So when you're driving in at your garage, I put artwork in my garage in front, because I want to see something that is pleasant. I don't want to see clutter. I don't want to see disarray. I don't want to see garbage cans. And I actually put up artwork. It's not high-end artwork because it is a garage, but I do get posters of places that I'd like to travel to. And I put them in acrylic type frames, so that when I come in, for example, if I want to go to Bali, which I understand you went to Bali and you had a wonderful experience.
Wonderful.
I too have a little Bali fun going. What I do, I have to tell you about my Bali fun, but anyway, I have a picture of Bali in my garage, so that when I drive in, the first thing I see is something that I aspire to do. I want to go to Bali. Therefore, it becomes a reminder, what am I going to do to get there? So the answer to that is what I'm going to do to get there, because now that I've seen it, is every day when I come home after I've left my garage and come into my house, I go to my wallet and I take out $5 bills, any $5 bills, and I put them in an envelope called the Bali Fund. And it's amazing how that fund starts to pick up momentum, whether it's Bali you want to go to or you want to buy a new purse or whatever it is. And you really don't miss those $5 bills after you take them out and put them away. So it's an instant savings plan, and it gets me going in the direction that I want to go, which is to Bali.
So your garage actually becomes aspirational.
It is an aspirational thing. It doesn't have to be something that, again, the first thing you come home to is that it's something that is on your to-do list. I've got to clean up my garage. I think if you spend a day, entire day, even with family members, and tackle the garage and get it up to par, it's really about organizational things that help you put the clutter away. Everything has to have a home. So if you can find, whether it's racks or hooks or whatever it is that gets things off the floor and put away, then when you drive in your garage, it's actually a nice place to be in.
I was wondering, because one of the things we've been talking about is to get all the clutter out from under your bed, and then people think, well, where should I put that stuff? And they probably will just stuff it in the garage.
Well, yes, you stuff it in the garage. I mean, there's some things that you might use seasonally, Christmas decorations or party decorations. Those might go in bins in the garage, but if it's really just stuff in there that you're holding on to for a rainy day, or if something goes awry, then I will have it, then it's more important to address that aspect of why you're holding on to this clutter than actually keeping the clutter itself that has no purpose.
Cheryl, could you give me some ideas of how to enhance the entryway of my home, the front driveway, all those places like that?
The front of the house is really, and the front of your property is really called the mouth of Qi, the mouth of energy. So as you're coming home, you're bringing your energy, your family members are bringing the energy into your home, your guests, your friends, everything. So it really should look inviting. And if you're a real estate agent, you know that the first thing they always say is if the front of the house doesn't sell or doesn't look presentable, you're not going to sell the house. It's the same principle for you. Coming up to your front of your house, you want it to feel welcoming. So how can you do that? Well, of course, if the lawn is green and it's cut and trimmed, it's not going to give you that angst when you see it. And everything should be trimmed down and very wide walkways to your home. Sometimes I see growth overgrown on the walkway, bushes or plants or things, and it really sort of narrows the pathway to the house.
Yes.
And it makes it more difficult for guests to arrive, and it's really narrowing your energy and your prosperity coming to your house. So trimming that all the way back so that it makes it very wide. And then as you approach the house, of course, any kind of flowers are wonderful to have in Feng Shui. You probably have heard of the traditional Chinese red door.
Sure.
Right? The reason the Chinese always did a traditional red door is because the door is red and it's a fire color, and you're igniting good prosperity coming into the home. But a lot of us can't have red doors, right? We might live in a community where we can't actually paint the door red, or we don't want a red door. So you might then instead put nice pots of flowers on either side of your entryway or the entry area of your home, and plant some red flowers or have red pots or something that sort of represents that energy. And of course, the last thing that I always say is have a welcome mat, because what better way to welcome good prosperity into your home than the word welcome? The one thing you don't want to do is have a welcome mat that has your name on it or your initials on it, because you're actually stepping on your name when you are doing that. So that's not considered good Feng Shui, but just the word welcome says it all.
I'm wondering about a guest bedroom. What would be a good Feng Shui way to welcome the friends and family that are visiting?
The guest room is always a little challenging because a lot of us use it for multitasking. We might do more than one function in that room. It could be an office, it could be a bedroom as well. And I like to have each room have its own function. So I like a guest room to be only about the guests and not also be my office, but sometimes you can't help it. If you have a guest room that has more than one function to it, then you really need to divide it up into those two functions. Make one side of the room the office and the other side of the room the guest room. Don't try to intertwine two functions in the same room. And then you want to, of course, do the same thing you would do with your own master bedroom, is make sure the bed is super comfortable, nice sheets. Don't put your worst set of sheets on the bed just because the guests don't arrive very often. And then good lighting and maybe a TV or something. But the one thing I do to add that extra layer of invitation and welcome to my guests is we always have a lot of photos of either our family members that are guests or our friends. And I take frames and I take those good pictures and I put those photos in each individual frames of the two of us in happy times. So when they walk into the bedroom, all of the picture frames, photo frames are custom to the two of us. And it makes it very exciting and fun for them, and especially if they're older photos or high school photos or college photos, it's actually fun and it starts a whole new level of conversation. So that's a very simple thing to do in order to make them welcome in your room.
I bet they feel very welcomed.
They do, and the funny thing, I live in Florida, you live in Florida, and there's always the saying that if the nicer your guest room is, the more comfortable it is, the more people will visit you. So I do remind people of that. If the guest room is uncomfortable, you'll probably have less visitors. If you want people to come, then you really got to invite that good feng shui energy in there by making it super comfortable and enjoyable.